some don't. And at this point in time where we are, there are some of them that you see they'll lay today, by tomorrow they don't lay. They're actually supposed to lay in every 26 hours. Yeah, so that's why some of them, you notice that some don't lay a particular day, but the following day you notice that they'll lay because they've already clocked that cycle, that 26 hours. So you see that they'll drop. It's a good business. It's been keeping me really busy. The truth is that when I look at it and what I was doing, my 9 to 5, it takes a lot of my time, but at least it allows me to have time for my kids. Like, you know, I know that I'm coming to the farm at this time and I have a worker. It's not like I do the work all by myself. So I know that I'm coming to the farm at this time to check on things, to see how things are going, and to make sure that the recordings are correct, because after each day, you record the number of eggs that you pick in a day. So you know exactly at the point where the production drops, so you know what to do. And again, you know, when you have a worker, the person might not actually pay attention as much as you will because it's your own business. So sometimes I have to come in here and leave, because there are sometimes when if a bird is sick or has caught up infection, you see that it will be closing its eye, or, you know, one thing or the other. So you need to like notice some of those things and start to treat almost immediately so they don't start to die. When I actually resigned and you know, started doing farming, people's reaction to it was quite interesting, or should I say, they were not taken aback by it. It was really encouraging, because you expect that you don't expect people of my age, or, you know, young people, my friends, because I know what they are doing, you know, like to go into such kind of job, because I know a few of them have told me before that they can't do this, like it's dirty and all of that. But it's quite encouraging when you hear them say like, I'm so proud of you, like, you know, this is really good. And because I post these things on my WhatsApp, on my Instagram, I'm not, you know, I'm not afraid to say this is what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is dirty. I'm not afraid to look dirty sometimes, because it's bringing me money. Come on. So the feedback is quite good. It's encouraging. A day in the farmer's life is quite interesting. Like, okay, my day, I wake up in the morning as usual, take care of things at home, you know, and then I come down here. So what I do mostly is just to manage activities. So she already knows what she's supposed to do, which is come in the morning, you make sure you feed them on time, you give them water, and you sweep up the place, you make sure everywhere is clean and neat. You just check to make sure that because what I use is nipples for their water, to make sure that there's water going around all the cages. So once I'm done with the poultry, I come down to the fish where I have to feed them. I have about 5 ponds. These are 3. Then I have those 2 at the end there. These are all my ponds. So when I stock this one, I stock about 3,000. You feed them in the morning. Make sure you change the water. When they are still small, you change water like every 2 days. But when they become big, you need to like change like every day. almost every day. The challenges for the fish farming is basically just maybe breakout of infection or anything like that, because when it comes, they don't die just in once. They die in like 10s, 20, like hundreds and all of that. So quite recently, like maybe a month or 2 months ago, I had crisis with one of the ponds. The last pond over there, I had crisis with them. I had some sort of infection, and I moved out. In a day, I took out about 20 fishes, big ones. So those are some of the crises that I experienced here. And I've even had, I've had worse, because when they were small, but it's even better when they are still small, because then you know that what you're losing is just minute. But when they become that big, it becomes more terrible, because if they die, you can't sell it. You can't sell the fish that is already dead. So it's just a loss on your part. Do I go back? I really like this because it also gives me time for my kids.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
On top Plus TV Africa news for this hour, FCT High Court don't agree make EFCC jail former Attorney General Adoke for 14 days. Ethiopia don't launch first satellite to enter space to take boost scientific innovation. US lawmakers don't go holiday, but they never get agreement on top Trump trial. Actually, salute as on take join us on top news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. These are the stories where they make the headlines. My name is Destiny Momo. One FCT High Court for Maitama on Friday don't answer well for the request where Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) want to detain Mohammed Adoke, former Attorney General plus Minister of Justice, for 14 days. Adoke been day picked for December 19 by the Interpol as seen reach Nigeria from Dubai for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport inside Abuja, and then hand them over to EFCC straight. Justice Othman Musa gave the order after EFCC bring one motion ex parte through one of their counsel, Fatima Mustafa, to hold the former minister inside their custody for 14 days. The order now to make the anti-graft agency conclude their investigate for Adoke sake of a corruption allegate. Plus, the Supreme Court don't say the governorship candidate for Action Alliance AA for the 2019 gubernatorial election for Imo State, Ogumba Uche Nwosu, been no they qualified to vie for the election sake of in double as both the candidate for the All Progressive Congress APC plus AA inside one lead judgment where they read by Justice Amina Ogi. The Apex Court shows say by virtue for double candidature, Nwosu they qualified to vie for the office. Nwosu been win the nomination to take contest under APC. The internal wrangling inside the ruling party make him impossible for him to be presented as the party candidate will make him defect to AA for the dying minute. The judgment na sake of one suit from the Ikenga Imo Ugochingere-led Action People's Party, APP. The judgment collects concur from the presiding Justice Rhodes Vivo, Justices Mary Peter Odili plus Ejimba Eko and Sisi Nweze. The Supreme Court yarn say by virtue of Uche Nwosu double candidature plus in line with the clear provision for the Electoral Act, he no fit escape disqualify from the election, plus then confirm the judgments from the High Court plus the Court of Appeal. The Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, don't confirm and say he accepts his appointment as the first chairman for the Kano State Council of Chiefs. Umar Ganduje for one letter where they signed by the permanent secretary of Kano State Ministry of Special Duty, Musa Bichi, they issued 2-day ultimatum to Emir either to confirm his acceptance or make him reject the appointment. Inside the letter, where then date 19 December 2019, plus they signed on behalf of the Kano Emirate Council by the acting secretary Abba Yusuf, said the Emir don't graciously agree to collect the appointment. The letter reads, say, kindly inform Your Excellency, say, in Highness, Serikin Kano no reject appointment as chairman for Kano State Council of Chiefs. In Highness, accept the appointment willingly. Say, as then take do so, in Highness don't request for further directive for Your Excellency, the Governor. The Senate on Thursday don't approve 278.4 billion naira as the budget for Federal Capital Territory Administrative FCTA on top of 2020. This now against the 232.8 billion naira where they proposed by President Muhammadu Buhari 1 week ago. Now, sake of the considerate for the report of the Senate Committee on top of FCT. For the total budget of 55.8 billion naira now for personnel cost, then 62.3 billion naira for overhead cost, then 160.1 billion naira now before capital projects. The chairman for the committee, Abubakar Kyari, who have been present the report, explains say new plus ongoing projects no really get to bonge funding sake of delay for the release of funds where they occasioned by bureaucratic bottlenecks. For the same time, a House of Representatives don't approve the sum of 278.35 billion naira as 2020 budget for the Federal Capital Territory. Breakdown for the amount to show say 55.87 billion for personnel cost plus 62.34 billion for overhead. Then the balance of 160.30 plus 13 and for capital expenditure. Even say for the bill, the Abuja Environmental Protection Board get reached 744.98 million naira. Department for Fire Service can get to reach 1.12 billion naira. FCT Emergency Management Agency collect to reach 370.77 million naira. Then Abuja Geographic Information System can get to reach 710.15 million naira. The Speaker for the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, on Thursday said tertiary education system for the country say it no get waiting it take to build the nation. He say as the quality for scholarship plus academic output and for the graduates when then they come out they drop. Say it confirms say Nigeria tertiary institution say it no get waiting it take to build the nation when it could survive through the current moment of change plus wahala. Gbajabiamila talk this one for Osogbo, Osun State, as they give the first Tunde Ponle annual lecture when they call building a tertiary truly 21st century university. Task beyond the government and then do one for the main campus for the Osun State University. As he can talk solutions to the palaver, Gbajabiamila say make a matter for curriculum plus teaching methods plus a fair assessment be part of any reform waka. He called for touchlighting for waiting then they teach, plus teaching methods so that they fit do obodo the world waka. Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State on Thursday don't present one fiscal proposal for 177 billion naira for 2020 to the Ondo State House of Assembly. Then tag the 2020 budget as a budget of growth. Akeredolu, when he presents the budget, give the Assembly through the Commissioner for Economic Planning plus Budget, Emmanuel Igbason. Say he reflects the current administrative commitment to work well to deliver for the electoral promise to the people for the state. He said the proposed budget they reduced by 138 billion compared with the 2019 when it be 190 billion naira. They said they don't budget 82 billion naira for recurrent expenditure plus 74 billion naira for capital expenditure. He said like a 10 billion naira now them vote for debt services plus 11 billion naira for statutory transfer. The governor said 2020 budget na the third ogbonge proposal when the administrator go prepare plus say then go talk well for waiting then don't build and don't do for 2019. The Resource Center for Human Rights plus Civic Education don't call on Obodo Naija people to try to ask for more accountability from their elected representatives. The Executive Director, Dr. Ibrahim Zikirulahi, he yarn for press conference with journalists inside Abuja, the national capital. Dr. Zikirulahi, when in been they lament the badness for Nigerian democratic process, he said the system know they provide solutions to the myriad of challenges when Nigerians they face.
While the political elites are quick to shout about how slow the democratic process is, the same slow process has not stopped them from misappropriating national resources to fund frivolous priorities. Nigerians are all living witnesses to the obscene pension laws passed in several states, which provide hefty sums as special for former governors and their deputies. The latest in this trend of profligate use of national resources is the approval of 37 billion naira for the so-called renovation of the National Assembly. In the same country, with roads that are death traps taking the lives of citizens and health facilities in their need of attention, one wonders what is so special about the National Assembly to warrant a renovation of 37 billion naira. As 2019 comes to a close, therefore, crisis calls on Nigerians to actively engage the democratic process, to get their voices heard, notwithstanding the current challenges. At every level of governance, the people must make the necessary effort to get their voices heard. From the realities on ground, it is again very clear that the current crop of political elite, whether in the ruling APC or in the opposition PDP, do not have what it takes to nurture our democracy and deliver good governance. The people of this country must therefore brace up for the struggles ahead in the new year and beyond.
The Nigeria Air Force NAF say their Air Task Force ATF for Operation Lafia Dole don't scatter some plenty logistics facilities when the Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP gets for the northern part of Borno. Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola NAF Oga of Public Relations plus Informate through where this yarnings during by Thursday. Daramola say na Bakare they do the waka one island settlement within the Lake Chad green fringes. As he take yard, he said the NAF he jet bege plus scatter some compounds where then keep the ISWAP logistics. Plus, World Health Organization, who on Thursday said the number for cholera matter don't go down globally by 60% for inside 2018. The joint body throw away yarn for one statement when they give from the headquarters inside Geneva when they call cholera prevention plus control report. The report point to one encouraging trend to take stop cholera plus to control them for the world Ogbonge hotspot when Haiti, Somalia plus the Democratic Republic of the Congo join. Cholera now Ogbonge diarrheal infection when food when it no good plus yeye water when bacterium vibrio cholerae they cause. It affects both pikin them and big people and if it kill within hours if they no treat them well. Who talk say for every year cholera they affect 1 million to 4 million people and it they claim up to 143,000 lives. Still for front, Ethiopia don't launch a first satellite to enter space to take a boost scientific innovation. This and plenty other things when we come back from this chinkini break. Guinea President Alpha Conde talk on Thursday, say he go ask for public referendum for one new constitution when it be moved when him opponents fear say he could use to hold power past the end of his constitutional mandate. Conde don't stay for power since 2010 and in second and final 5-year term go finish during by next year. We no go agree waka since October against one possible constitutional change. Don't make like 14 people die inside the country. The opposition suspect, 81-year-old Conde, he planned to use one new constitution to take a reset button for the current 2-term limit. One proposed draft for one new constitution when Reuters see no talk whether Conde could get waiting it take to confirm for the 2020 election, but Conde no agree rule out the running. Ethiopia launched their first satellite to take enter space during by Friday. Sake of more sub-Saharan African nations do waka to take develop space programs to advance their developed goals, plus to encourage scientific innovation. Before daybreak on Friday, senior officials and citizens gather body for the Entoto Observatory plus Research Center just north for the capital Addis Ababa to watch one live broadcast for the satellite launch from one space station inside Obodo, China. Deputy Prime Minister Demeke Mekonnen talk for the launch event broadcast for state television, said this one will be the foundation for their historic journey take enter prosperity. Solomon Bele, Oga Patapata for the Ethiopian Space Science plus Technology joint body, it tell Reuters say na Chinese plus Ethiopian engineers designed the satellite, and the Chinese government paid each $6 million for more than a $7 million manufacturing cost. Information where they come next, now our foreign news. And inside foreign news, the U.S. lawmakers will control the fate for President Donald Trump. They've been leaving Washington for one holiday break during by Friday. But agreement no day on top of how they go handle the Senate trial to take consider an impeachment charge for January. Trump gets small chance for say then convict plus remove from office from the Republican-controlled Senate where they due to take up the 2 impeachment charge where they passed by the Democratic-led House of Representatives inside one historic vote during by Wednesday. Republicans and Democrats, they do begin on top of themselves sake of how the Senate trial will play out. Democrats want to call top Trump aides take do witness, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, she never still send the impeachment package to give the Senate sake of say she wants make the pressure high willingly. Plus, they don't rush Britain Prince Philip, the 98-year-old husband for Queen Elizabeth, carry go hospital on Friday, sake of a precautionary measure for treatment for one condi we done the shell before now. Now, Buckingham Palace, na in this one during by Friday. Philip, when your official title, na the Duke of Edinburgh, have been traveled from the family house of Norfolk, Eastern England, take enter King Edward V11 Hospital for London to take do observation plus treatment. The doctor Yan said the admission now for prevention matter on top the advice for His Royal Highness. Philip don't retire from public life during by the time of August 2017, although he don't occasionally they appear for official engagement scenes. Authorities don't shut down the internet for parts of northern India on Friday, and then say make nobody waka for southern city after 2 people die for gbege between police and we no go gree people when then they throw stones sake of one citizenship law when it day against the Muslims. We no go gree waka don full India since the Hindu nationalist government pushed the new law through parliament during by last week, and then mark am as the strongest show of dissent since Prime Minister Narendra Modi take enter power for during by 2014. The latest of fatalities for the southern coastal city for Mangaluru make the people when they don't die from the Winogo Gri Waka enter 7 people. When police talk man say 20 officers wunjure for the gbege inside Mangaluru, and then don't say make people no waka till until midnight on top of December 22. The United States talk on Thursday say they go stop visas for Iranian officials for their roles when they take the stop peaceful we no go agree waka and come put sanctions for 2 Iranian judges as Washington ginger their pressure go up for the Islamic Republic. We no go agree shele for Iran on November 15th after the government carry one fuel price go up. Amnesty International talk early this week say the waka turn to political as a young and working class. We no go agree people talk say make clerical leaders step down sharply.
Iran's human rights violations are worse than unacceptable. They're evil and they're wrong. And to show that we mean what we say today, I'm announcing several new actions in support of the Iranian people. First, I have redesignated Iran as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act. The world should know Iran is among the worst violators of basic fundamental religious freedoms. Second, today the United States Department of Treasury will sanction 2 Iranian judges, Mohammad Moghesha and Abolghasem Salavati. Salavati has sentenced hundreds of political prisoners. He's the go-to guy. He sentenced journalists and human rights activists to prison or worse, to death. He's a tool of the regime's oppression, not an impartial friend of justice. And today, he's now sanctioned by the United States of America. Third, under the Immigration Nationality Act, we're restricting visas for current or former Iranian officials and individuals responsible for or complicit in the abuse, detention, or killing of peaceful.
And information they come next now our business news. Minister of Finance, Budget plus Planning, and Mrs. Zainab Ahmed talk on Thursday say low revenue could force them to do waka for the 2020 budget. She said 44% of projected revenue could come from oil-related sources, while the remaining 56% come out from the non-oil sector. As she take yarn, she said sake of the waka for the budget could start during by January 1 and said they don't stop the operation for the 2019 budget. She said then go release capital funding from now. The minister talked on Thursday as then they do the breakdown for the budget. She said the government could do their best to improve the gross domestic product GDP growth rate to reach 7%.
The 2019 budget has an expenditure of 8.92 trillion naira, and this is the federal government expenditure, not including the government-owned enterprises. So as at September, the total spending was 5.81 trillion naira, and this represents an 86.9% performance compared to the prorated ratio by the end of the third quarter 2019. The budget of 10 major government-owned enterprises are integrated in the federal government budget of 2020, which in aggregate, 44% of the projected revenue is to come from oil-related sources, while 56% will come from non-oil resources.
Still for front on Top Plus TV Africa News, now our roundup on Top Entertainment. Will they come back just now?
Mona Lisa is all about me. It's all about you. It's all about our stories. The stories that never get told, but ought to.
Whereby water transportation does not make financial sense, it makes economic sense.
I was there for 2.5 hours on the floor. Nobody attended to me.
If we don't take care of the poor will take care of us.
It's about getting at the root of things and hearing from the horse's mouth.
We are 15 public hospitals to make them affordable.
In the whole of Africa, we are bigger. You know, Nigeria, we sleep, eat, dream, fashion.
Those with the financial backing don't see fashion as an investment, which makes no sense.
If they do it for free, they won't have money for the next case.
Mona Lisa is about real life and real lives, yours and mine. Make a date with Mona Lisa, and together, let's ensure that the important stories get told.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
And inside entertainment, Miss Virginia Camille Schreier don't take over the title from last year's champion, Nia Franklin, after I win the judge their favor for the 93rd annual pageant show. Camille will be one VCU pharmacy student to perform one science waka for the talent portion for the competition. The contestants still take the stage for personal interviews, talent demonstrate, plus social impact statement for the first compete. Judges for the 2-hour live groove, na singer Kelly Rowland, Queer Eye star Karamo Brown, and superstar actress Lauren Ash. Miss Georgia Victoria Hall and Miss Missouri Simon Esther still reach the top 3. With the before one when them named this year runner-up, and the second person when he go come be the second runner-up, Miss Oklahoma Addison Price Carey. She carry fourth, while Miss Connecticut Julian Duffy carry fifth. Miss America 2019, Nia Franklin, go back to the stage to crown her successor. And that's now our news roundup for events we shall doing by this very o'clock. For more news updates, I beg follow us at Plus TV Africa on top Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And it will make a bonga sense if you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We will come back later with more stories where they make background headlines. Make you join us. My name is Destiny Momo.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Hi guys, my name is Kemen Fitness. I'm a fitness entrepreneur and wellness coach. Drink a lot of water, stretch before you work out. Try to work out at least 30 minutes. Eat healthy, that's eat clean, and have a lot of sleep. Yeah, try to sleep when you can. On the keyboard. I don't think I know. On the keyboard. Let's look on the keyboard. If it's not Z, I don't know. Oh, last sleep with your hunger with. When was the last time I hung outside? But I had the most fun hanging out with Timaya. He's a comedian. North America, South America, Asia, Europe, Africa, Australia, Antarctica. Okay, so wait. Some chairs have arms and legs but no head. Maybe. Yeah. I admire a lot of female celebrities. A lot of them. I mean, yeah, of course. The most. Don't tell anybody. Tiwa Savage. Hi guys, my name is Kemen. I'm a fitness entrepreneur and a wellness coach. These guys, they made me thirsty. But I survived. At least I answered most of the questions, so I tried. Yeah!
Hello and welcome to One on One on Plus TV Africa. My guest today is Paul Orajiaka. Paul Orajiaka is the founder of All Done Toys, an African-themed toy company valued at over $10 million. Thank you for joining me in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
How did this all come about? Was it that you had a lot of toys surrounding you while you were growing up, or what exactly happened?
Well, funny enough, my dad is an artist. I grew up in an art family, and my dad was always engaging us in his workshop to do craft work. So, and growing up, my dad didn't want to spoil us, so he didn't give us toys, not because of affordability, but because of his word principle of us working hard and affording things for ourselves. So basically, I didn't grow up with toys, and then when I got the chance to get into toys, I got fascinated.
So there was no Batman, Spider-Man?
Absolutely nothing. All he had in my dad's craft shop was carving the hunter man, the elephant, the fruits and stuff like that. We're actually making money from a very young age because my dad introduced us to this kind of entrepreneurial journey where we had to produce things over the weekends.
Okay.
And then during the long holidays, we were in his workshops, and then we had like a small shelf in his showroom where these things were being sold. And at the end of the school year, when we come back for holidays, there's an account where my dad takes some percentage, my mom takes some, and then we, the young guys, me and my brother would take our own percentage. And at a very young age, we had our accounts whereby we could actually deposit, but we couldn't withdraw without my dad countersigning because we're actually underage. So this was actually what I grew up knowing, all about craft, arts, and that kind of family I come from, known as Oraji's Craft Limited.
All right, so did you already have an idea of the fact that you were going to start making toys, African toys at the time, or it just happened over time? Or
absolutely, it's more like an accident, because remember, coming to Lagos was more like to travel overseas. I was supposed to go to Fort Valley State College. I came to the embassy with a couple of my friends. Everybody got admitted with the visa, and then but only me was refused the visa. So staying back in Lagos, not wanting to go back to Warri because I grew up in Warri. People call me Wafi boy. So the whole idea is that I didn't want to go back. I had to pitch and stay with my in-law, who was actually in Idumota importing, and that was actually the first time I got into Idumota and seeing the kind of level of trade and a lot of my Igbo brothers making a lot of money. It was like, wow, if I stay here long enough, work hard enough, I'll probably be like this boy. So that was more like an inspiration that actually enabled me settle. And in the course of being in Idumota, I love to hustle. So that restless spirit made me connect to venture into other things. And that was how I started getting some things from friends who were in London and taking them to supermarkets around VI, like Park and Shop and the rest. And that was how in every of these business visits, there's a lot of time to process your LPOs. So I always go to the toy shelf to like just feed my eyes and wow, like look at this toy, it does like this skates, this like this. So I fell in love with this shelf. So I was always using this shelf to pass time. And at the time, the shelf that used to be so robust started going very scanty. Apparently, for some reason, maybe the importer or maybe the supplier was no longer bringing in stock. So I just went to Deepak, the manager, and I said, Deepak, hey, guy, I can actually give you some toys. And I made this commitment, not even knowing where toys were being sold in Idumota. But you see, as an entrepreneur, you have to understand those
there's a certain mindset to carry along with
those
you.
opportunities, conceptual. When you see an opportunity, you quickly grab it. So like, it just registered that this was an avenue to expire what I was actually doing with them currently. And when I go back to my in-laws office, I start asking my colleagues, come on, where in Idumota do they sell toys? And that was how this whole journey about toy became from something you, like in Nigerian parlance, play, became to something big.
So at that point, the whole thought of wanting to travel to America right after high school had gone. At this point, do you have any regrets not traveling when your mates were traveling? What? Because you know how it feels when, like he said, this sounds like Ali Baba's story, where he said that he himself, and I think there was one story about 24 people going in for a job, 23 were picked, only him was not picked. Yep. You and your friends went for visa and then they all got, you didn't get. So was there a point where you said to yourself, I think I'm better off not being given the visa at the time?
Well, it all depends, because if you see, as a young boy, I didn't know what tomorrow had for me. You know, sometimes they say you plan the future, but the future does not necessarily follow the plan. So I had a plan of actually being in the US, but for some reason, maybe God felt there was a better opportunity for me to start off something in an environment I was not used to. So the whole idea was that absolutely there was no regret, because going into Idumota and being inspired by the young guys and the level of trade I was seeing at a young age, I was barely 17. So like, come on, these guys, I have to work. And surprisingly, my brother-in-law was such a very wonderful fellow who actually allowed me to get commissions for all the hustles I was doing with this business. And at the time, I had so much money as a young boy, and I completely lost interest in education. It might interest you to know that I actually went into university where my mates were graduating. So the whole idea was that at least I had 4 years in Idumota, 4 or 5 years in Idumota, trading, learning the street. And that's why I always tell people my first degree was actually UI. And people would tell me, oh, University of Ibadan. I said, no, come on, this is University of Idumota. so that's the whole idea about how the dream all started. So, and then you could see, starting off with Idumota, I completely lost interest in going to school, because it was like that Igbo mindset of making money and just being rich. But I had an uncle, Uriah Chukudum, who was such a wonderful fellow, and he said, come on, Paul, I see you doing well, but you had a fantastic WAEC. Why would you be in Idumota trading? There are things you should decide. Choose between two things. Do you want to be a wealthy man, or do you want to be a quality man? Any fool can make money and be wealthy, but not every fool can lead a quality life. So you need to go back to school. These experiences, these skills, this knowledge you learn from school, they help you grow those business opportunities and open up greater windows for you. And because he was such an uncle I revered and respected so much, I took his advice, and that was how the story of Unilag came about, where I graduated with in accounting, and then went on to do my master's in management in Unilag, went on to Lagos Business School to do my MBA, and the whole list continued until we landed in Harvard to do our master's in public admin. So you could see a young boy who came into Lagos to go to a school, like a third-year university in America, Fort Valley State College, only ended up going to one of the best schools in the world. So this is some of the stories that we look at and I said, well, God probably prepared us for something, and that's why it didn't work out at that point in time.
Sometimes we just need to relax, don't you think?
Absolutely, and let the will of God take control.
And then in terms of you having garnered all of these experiences from a place like Idumota, it's not the most structured, if I would put it in that light.
Yeah.
So how are you able to put in a good level of structure in your business when you started?
Well, good enough. When you come to Idumota, you see the level of chaos around the place. But like you see, we actually learned the rope. We started from very small. Remember, I would just come and buy toys and take to supply.
Yes.
And then at a point, I needed to start selling even in the local market, because those I was buying from at the time I started going to Dubai, I was barely like 19, making my first trip. And then coming to Dubai, coming into Idumota with my wares, after supplying, I would go back to those guys who were selling to me and start selling some of my leftover stock after I must have supplied the big stores in Via, Nikoi, and Apapa and the rest back then. So, but the point is this, I decided to get into the market myself, because those whom I was supplying in the local market were not giving me the level of reciprocity that I was actually getting from them when I was dealing with them. So what I did was, I went on, got a very small counter. So when you come to Idumota, the spaces are very shook and you have to pay a lot of money. So from the small counter, we kept focus. I didn't have the money to pay for staff, so I had to bring my sisters or my brothers, whoever was available was helping me. And then from the counter, we got into a half shop, and this kind of half shop we're talking about is something that is so small that when you range, you have to be on top of your decks, because everywhere is flooded right into the store, into the shop. So, but with the dream, I saw that over time we continue to scale. Then we got a full shop, and today we're sitting in a fourth floor plaza where people come, you buy things. It's as if you're in a mall, and it's all wholesale. So for me, we started off with Idumota in a very small level, and we built the structure over time. And mind you, at the time we were also trying to scale up, the banks didn't believe in us. These are some of the challenges entrepreneurs face in the country. And these are some of the reasons why I'm actually a doctoral student at Henley Business School. And my focus is on entrepreneurial orientation of SMEs and how the environmental factors affect their performance. Because you see, SMEs run every nation, but in Nigeria they seem to have been neglected. When you come into our store today, you see the quality of employees we have. You see the quality of people working there, and you understand that we're doing something great.
Why do you think that banks do not, would I say, believe in SMEs when they approach them at the first instance? Because in most cases, you realize that those SMEs that the banks probably were not willing to give loans to because of the high interest rates, right? They end up doing very well.
Absolutely. We are a living example of that. And I will tell you something, after we've hustled and built this structure, we became the beautiful bride. And every bank wanted to bank us. But at the time we were trying to give them and convey the dream to them and tell them, listen, we have this. And then they come and they look at our business and they say the guy is sitting in a very small shop, and they say, oh, you're not structured. And funny enough, the company they said was not structured is actually being reorganized by KPMG. They are our strategic growth partners. You understand? But you need to give the child the time to mature into what you want them to be. You don't expect the child to actually run at a very young age. So what the problem these banks are missing is that they see the dog, but they don't see the side of the fight in the dog. So there's a whole lot in us that there is this entrepreneurial spirit that makes us want to forge ahead despite all odds. But they couldn't see this thing. But in as much as that was the case, we never relented. We continued to forge ahead. And funny enough, today they are all coming. Rather than before we're seeking for them to give us money, right now we become money placers with these banks. So these are some of the things you see that but it shouldn't be the case, because many entrepreneurs like me would have actually fallen by the wayside. And the irony is that when you see the level of funds that are going bad debts with these banks for these so-called big ticket businesses, you can imagine, and if you just take 1/10 of that money for SMEs, they could actually scale up their businesses. So it's just the irony of the kind of environment we're working in, and that's why some of my doctoral thesis is actually meant to address some of these challenges so that we can profile practical and theoretical solutions to the challenges SMEs face in such a complex country.
All right, we'll hold on with that thought right now. All right, we'll hold on for a quick break. You're still watching One on One on Plus TV Africa.
Hear the stories making the headlines.
The Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria. I'm here at Yunus Bashorin Street, where
the fire destroyed our transformer complete as
the lowest level you can.
Plus TV Africa, the big stories live here.
Big stories live here.
Big stories live here.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 I dey pay.
Thank you for staying with us. I'm still speaking with Paul Orajiaka. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right then. Before we left off, we were talking about the challenges SMEs face in terms of acquiring loans from banks. Let me find out, how did you get your startup capital?
Well, funny enough, when you read some of our articles, they say we started with $100. That $100 was actually part of the 5,000 capital we set off to do our first business in Park and Shop. Funny enough, when I was working with my in-law, like I told you, I was actually getting stipends, monthly allowance, and I was also getting commission. So based on those savings, so I started supplying those things that my friends were bringing in from London. So at that point, we built this money, and our very first capital was actually that 5,000, and the invoice is still standing in our office as part of the symbol of the foundation for this capital we're actually working on now. So we actually grew organically, growing this. Even, you know, one interesting thing, the first time I had the first order in Park and Shop where I made 18,000, when I got the check, it was a total of about 36,000. I came up, looked at the heaven, read the check, 36,000, I danced. And that's why one of our very big team today is like the heaven saw the dance. It's like we danced out of joy. But over time, that same joy of 36,000, we're leaving those places with checks of about $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, just for them in your pocket, and then you just slide into your office. You know, so the whole idea is we appreciated something, and for some reason, there was a way the heavens saw the joy, and he multiplied the efforts. So this was actually how we built our capital from scratch. And when we hit about 500,000, we felt we didn't need to buy from the local market. And that was why we traveled to Dubai. And I set a goal for myself as a young boy. And I said to myself, my friends are in school studying. I'm not in school. But then I read something about Socrates Onassis. He said, by the time you're 21, you've not made $1 million. Forget it. You're not as good as making the grade. So for me, I use that as a benchmark. And I said, by the time I'm 21, I want to be a millionaire. And I tell you, just the way we set out our hearts to achieve this, at 21, we're already having so much. And we beat the mark, and we beat it pretty well. So that was how the whole thing continued to transcend into bigger
multiple millions.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Let's delve into the toys themselves. I see the lady dolls wearing very fantastic African apparel. Where are they sourced? Where are your materials sourced?
Well, the key thing would be, first, we wanted to promote our culture. And then, because as a business, we were selling the white skin dolls, you know, the likes of the Barbies, and at the time we asked ourselves.
I had Barbie dolls when I was growing up.
Absolutely, but then you see, but the whole idea, when you see the new generation of Nigerian child, now they say my Aisha, my Amaka, my Runke, my Malaika. Want to hear this kind of stories, not my Barbie, you know, and all those names they give to them. So we wanted to actually bring this kind of value to the Nigerian child, to own dolls that look and represent who they really are.
That look like us.
Absolutely, not those dolls that actually have unrealistic figures manufactured somewhere from one mold in China. So that was how the whole concept of the doll came about. And then when we started this whole concept, we brought the whole thing all fully packaged from China. Because we wanted to introduce this thing for the first time. And when we got the response from the Nigerians, we were absolutely amazed. And the whole idea was to gradually get this into the full local production. So right now, I'm glad to say that our dolls, the clothes are being made by Friends of the Disabled. These are girls on wheelchair who have skills for tailoring. We give them a lot of this material. We sign MOUs with them. These girls are making income while making the clothes for the dolls. They also make the beads and stuff like that. Right now, as I can tell you, only the dolls come from China. Naked, no other thing comes in. All the printing, all the clothes.
But can't that be done here in Nigeria? What are the restrictions?
It's actually a gradual process, because the whole idea is that we just can't get it all at once. Remember, we brought this in all fully boxed. Right now, they come in knockdown parts, flat packs, so everything is being assembled locally. So, and at the time, we just had an MOU with Policy Toys in Belarus. The whole idea is to start bringing in machineries to actually get these dolls manufactured
here in
locally. Absolutely. It's amazing where you're an Igbo child and then you have Aisha. Remember, when you look at these dolls, they have booklets in them whereby there are distinctives about every particular tribe that are in these booklets. So the child starts getting a feel of what other tribes look like. You understand? Yes. From there, and we also have some very simple local language imprinted on the booklet, so that actually they could actually pick some few local dialects, and you know the way the Nigerian child and are beginning to lose their mother tongue because everybody is trying to be more.
They want to be more Western
than
everything else.
So these are the things we want to do. So we are so intrigued about the kind of value we're bringing. For us, it is principle. Chase the value and then the money will come after you. But when you chase the money, the value disappears and then everything goes bonkers. So this is some of the reasons why we are so happy with what we're doing with the dolls, the kind of employment we are creating, the local women making these dolls. These are women who, like the lead person, the lead local woman. This is a lady who came crying that her husband had left her with another woman with 4 kids. And then she's been having one issue or the other. And I said, come on, you're a tailor. Come, we'll sign you up into the program for Unity Doll Empowerment Program. And then start making this thing. And you know the funny thing, when she initially started, her friends were like laughing at her. Come on, how come you are sewing clothes for baby? You know, so that was the kind of language and response she was getting. But at the end of it all our friends have joined her, because as I speak to you, the woman has probably made over $30,000 worth of clothes for the dolls. Whatever is going to South Africa, going all over Africa, she also has her own materials in them. The Friends of the Disabled are doing it. And also, the graduate apprentice students of the Lagos State and Duke College students are actually making these clothes. We signed up 40,000 units of the dolls with them, with the executive secretary. And there are no jobs in Nigeria. So these girls sign up for the graduate apprentice program of this technical college to learn skills. And when you learn these skills and you don't have the kind of jobs or the kind of commitment to enable you practicalize these things,
yes.
So that is where our impact is beginning to get a lot of values. And we have this business model whereby we say we want to harness people who want to make good with their purchase. That's why every unit of our door, some price of our doors is set aside, some amount is set aside for social work.
Fantastic.
If you look at some of the schools we've renovated, like Salvation Army Primary and Nursery School, Ibobo, Ikorodu, these are rundown schools. You wonder how kids are learning in such an environment.
I like how everything just narrows down to the society. It feels like there's the mindset of how to help society in terms of unity and diversity, helping create jobs. How is the government helping with your initiative?
Well, absolutely. We've never even looked at the government. We're not even bothered because it's hard to say.
Has the government approached you at all?
Not really. I would say the Lagos State government only recognized our impact. So they gave us an award for support our school initiative, and at least they were happy with what we've been doing with the Lagos State, in Lagos State in terms of the technical college students, the schools we renovated in Ikorodu, and some of the impact we're making. So yes, fine, they recognize the achievements and the impact we're making, but in terms of support, we're not even looking at that because actually government can do it all. So it's every individual. If people continue to do one or two things like this, we'll have a better society. We can't leave it all to the government. It's very complex.
Exactly.
So that's why we're not bothered. Just to let you know, in Idumota, we're more like our own local government because we have to provide our own lights, our own roads, our own, literally everything we do on our own. So you wait for the government, literally you wouldn't be able to function. So
how frequently do you still visit Idumota?
Certainly, I just came from Idumota. Of course, I stay in Idumota every day. That's the head office. That's where it's happening. And then for us, you remember, it's the commercial nerve center. The level of trade going in Idumota it's only those who don't know would underestimate that value and the level of trade that's happening in Idumota.
Thank you so much. That's all we can have at this point. But thank you for joining me in the studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and well done on your job.
Thank you so much.
All right, then, and that's all we can have at this hour on Plus TV Africa on One-on-One. Do stay with us, and for more informative content of this nature, do follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, all on Plus TV Africa. I remain your host, Irene Ubani. Bye.
Hi guys, my name is Baj Adibule. I'm an actor and a filmmaker, and these are my answers to these questions. I have danced naked at a balcony before. Don't ask me what happened before then or after then, but yeah, that happened. Off the top of my head, it would be Smooth by Carlos Santana and Rob Thomas. Love that song. The most recent lie. What's the most embarrassing thing I've ever done? That's the most recent lie I've told. The part is the fact that you get to live multiple lives in one lifetime. That's the coolest part. Kiss, date, marry. kiss, date, marry. I'll kiss Ini. Love you, babe. Date Toke because I'm sure she's going to be fun. And I'll marry Bisola. We get along so well. I love her. Definitely marry Bisola. She's good to, probably good to eat me up for that now. You know, being a Nigerian boy my age, I am a Tanga just jumps out straight up, no matter how old you are. I've seen some scarier stuff now that I'm older, like I saw Hereditary like some months ago, and that was crazy. But I am a Tanga just jumps out, you know, so yeah, I am a Tanga. I think the privacy has to be the worst part. Unless you're specifying like an actor in Nigeria, then there's another worst part. But if you're talking generally, I'll say losing your privacy. I'm a very private kind of person. So the fact that sometimes I can't just dash out wearing anything I want isn't the coolest thing. What words? Brokos. Yeah, I just don't see how I can throw that in any sentence, man. I don't even know how I said it in the movie. Brokos, definitely. Should I just see this picture, just describe it? I'll describe it. I'll thank God, I'll thank my mom. I'll thank... I should be married by then, right? Abby? Hey, let me don't put a time limit on it. I'll thank my girlfriend/wife, depending on which time it happens. I'll thank my family, my friends, thank my fans, I'll thank the academy, and it's a good platform. So there's this belief I have that we really don't need all these other things that we think are real in terms of those social, legal, and religious laws. What we really just need is understanding, kindness, and love. I'll try and spread that message. If you're talking about Nigeria, I still want to work with Pete Edochie. Come on, I grew up watching the guy. Just one time. Just so I can say, yeah, I'm done now. I mean, Nigeria. But if you're talking about worldwide, the list is unending. But for Nigeria, Pete Edochie. So that's it on Plus TV Africa. I'm Baj Adibule. Hope you had fun.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
It's
very
backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
Welcome to The Advocate. We're almost at the end of the year, but it's as though our work has only just begun. We keep at it in the interest of a better society. I'll be setting things in motion by tackling a topic that is on a lot of minds. I've called it Last Man Standing. Gbolahan is no less topical. He has opted to alert us to the other side of the story regarding the not-so-small matter of a $30 billion loan request. Uche is shocked at the extent to which some would go to attain perceived beauty goals. Tubosun is on the team for the first time. He makes his debut by speaking of the Nigerian brand. I wonder how many of us have given this much thought. Libros articulates the anomaly of the so-called security vote that appears to have created an open door to daylight robbery. Prepare for a lot of exposition on this edition after the break. I'm increasingly aware of the weight of the expression, "the buck stops with me." Last man standing. Shore's release was recently ordered for the third time, I believe, by the courts. However, in the full view of the cameras and witnesses, the DSS forcefully manhandled him and apparently rearrested him. Even Nigerians who have no personal affiliation to Shore can tell that at this point, something has seriously gone awry as concerns the dignity of the judiciary, when the DSS are able to forcefully undermine the same. No explanations given, not that any would be acceptable. Who are the DSS? What power do they wield? Are they above the law? The simple answer is that they must be acting on a higher, more audacious authority. The buck for such an abuse against judicial authority should rest squarely on the shoulders of the presidency. More disheartening is that this callous disdain for the rule of law is happening at a time when we have a senior advocate as the vice president. Commentators have asserted that new precedents are being set by those in authority as regards lawlessness, and yet it appears that those who have a voice and should speak out remain silent. The presiding judge should at least charge the DSS and those they represent with contempt of court, Libros would advise. The Senate and House of Representatives should debate the issue as a matter of urgency. I hear at least someone has raised an issue on that, since it goes towards fundamental rights to a fair trial. It goes towards the civil liberties of every national of Nigeria, whom they claim to represent. It goes towards upholding the rule of law. This is essential as persistent corrosion of this basic foundation of societal law and order could inevitably lead to the house crashing down on all of us. We all should not tire of raising our voices in condemnation, however we can. I recently watched a movie whereby a single police officer stood against an organized syndicate of dirty cops, and he triumphed. I know that's the movie, but he was the last man standing. You and I get to be the last man or woman standing against injustice. The question is not if we will lend our voices to the struggle, but rather how we will make our voices count. To stay silent is simply not an option at this point.
I know.
What do I say?
Please say something. You're part of the judiciary that are being raped and
part of the
tell us the law side of things.
Yeah, because I think we fought a civil war too early, too soon. And then, so any attempt to stand for your right, people are quick to remind you of the consequences. And like Fela once said, I know one die, Papa day for house, Mama day for house. I won't build house, I won't enjoy. And so you find out that, this, like they say, it's only in Nigeria that, only in Nigeria you will push to the wall. And rather than revolt, he would break the wall and, still run far from you. Even goats will revolt. Because I really don't know why. And so the government understands all of these things. And that's why they keep doing these things that they do. This is not the first time. Remember that the military, the judiciary were seriously abused, though not this daring. Okay. If you remember Ayo Fayose in Ekiti, about a few years ago also, his thugs invaded the courts. Even I learned also a judge was assaulted in the open day court. And nothing happened. Those people that condemned it at that time, that's the unfortunate part of it. Those that condemned it at that time are the ones that are praising this DSS invasion. Because now it is
working in their favor.
Really?
Yes.
I hear people praising the invasion.
Or maybe they're keeping quiet.
Yes, they are giving excuses, depending on the side you support. It's quite unfortunate. But quickly, what I think, nobody will stand for the judiciary but the judiciary itself.
Oh, really?
Yes. We've been too quiet to wait for somebody else to come stand for the judiciary. The NJC and the NBA need to come together and say, you know what? What's the essence of giving an order when you know ab initio that it will not be obeyed? What's the essence of going to a court to get an order when you know that such orders will not be obeyed? That from now on, we will down to until we all sit down and address this issue. Rather than this pretense of, let's say we cannot be like them. If I were Showore, I would refuse to stand trial from now on.
Wow.
Because what's the essence?
You remain in prison.
It's better because
now.
whether now the court gives order. So what is the guarantee that if the same court discharges and acquit him tomorrow, that they will obey? So what are we talking about? Wow. The same court, Justice Taiwo, that ordered that he should be held for 45 days. After the expiration of the 45 days, now say, release him. And the DSS were warning Justice Taiwo. So if I were him, I'd just say, you know what? I would rather just remain here. Let me remain here so that the whole world will know that I am here. I won't stand trial until I'm sure that I'll be given fair hearing.
Absolutely.
Do you think that will work?
Yes, it will. It's a protest in itself.
I hope so. When I think about the old mix, something is seriously wrong. And like Liberio said, the judiciary has a role here, and I believe the rest of us do too. In certain way, in our commentaries, and if there are public protests that we can join to register our dissatisfaction with that issue.
That's hate speech.
The least place that I expected result, I may be an outlier in this matter, is to say the people who are eating on the table will be speaking while they are eating. I don't think we're going to get public condemnation from people who are in government. You do not even in the U.S. You get the Republican is coming out to come and talk about Trump. You don't get it.
Sometimes you do.
So you step out of that.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do.
When there are extreme situations, you would get Republicans or
even
party
Democrats
members to come out and say, no.
Condemning
Yeah, to say that this particular thing is wrong. If they will follow it through, is another conversation. Going to the court to go and try and arrest him just looked like, like there was no thinking that went into trying to arrest anybody. Like it looked very, very brazen. And I continue to be very, very concerned about that because it looks like all the security agencies have a particular MO, disregard the rule of law in arresting people.
But the
SARS will pick you up without allowing you to contact anybody. The police will harass you. The military guys will harass you at any given opportunity, even in traffic or anywhere.
But why do you think that they're able to do that? Who is giving them the authority to do that?
I also think that
it's because you're still
separating the body language.
You're still separating
That's what I'm going to say.
From the presidency, which is not the case.
I think there's a rot.
There is no separation right now. The DSS, as far as I'm concerned, is not an independent agency anymore. It's acting on orders and it's carrying them out.
They report to someone.
Yes, and for them to be brazen like that, I think we're finally getting to a point where we can now see that everything has pretty much broken down.
Yes.
And, we've been talking about the rule of law and how, the government is not obeying them, court orders, you name it. And now, finally, they've invaded the courts, assaulted somebody, rearrested somebody. They had to chase the judge away or she ran away. Do you know what I mean? It's gone crazy. It's gone crazy.
Well, I wanted to say that the positive for me out of all this is that you're beginning to see stirrings of a coalition. Like, at least you've seen the civil society organizations. 200 of them are giving an ultimatum. You see people coming out to make statements that, so me, I'm beginning to see what looks like.
What did he say?
The governor of Ondo State, who's also an APC, had condemned this. And also he has asked the MB and the NGC to stand up for the rule
that's
of
positive.
law.
Very positive.
And on the issue of whether he's guilty or not,
it's a
let
different
the court
story.
decide that.
It's a different ball.
My point about that is even from the point of view of there's no justification for the harassment. There is absolutely no justification for the harassment.
It's almost like they're playing into the hands
Yes,
of the people.
exactly.
Anyway,
no
as citizens of a nation, we all have our part to play. Bolanho is set to play his part in challenging the single story as regards a certain controversial loan after the break.
Hear the stories making the headlines.
The Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria. I'm here at Yunus Bashorin Street. Where
the fire destroyed our transformer completely.
lowest lender you can.
This is Plus TV Africa. The big stories live here.
Big stories live here.
Big stories live here.
You are watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. Storytelling surely comes into its own with the art of presenting a 3D perspective. The single story of Nigeria's borrowing plan. It was Chimamanda Adichie who warned us of the danger of a single story. The ongoing discussions about Nigeria's borrowing plan of $30 billion for critical infrastructure reminds one of this danger. It is true that the absolute number of our debt is low for a nation as big as ours. It is also true that our debt to GDP ratio is very low. Thus, we should be able to borrow if we want. This story is a favorite for government. However, it is just one story, and there is another. The other part which government doesn't like to talk about is how is this debt going to be repaid? Debts are repaid from revenue, and the government itself had mentioned over and over again that our revenue is very poor. As it is today, depending on how much of the projected revenues we achieve, the existing debt service could be anything between 25% and 60% of the entire revenue. The rest is barely enough to pay salaries. Debts are not repaid from GDP, they are repaid from revenues, which we don't have. This is the conundrum. The true solution to a problem does not lie in telling only part of the story. Rather, we should put all the cards on the table. My advocacy is that government should not just present a borrowing plan, it should also present a supporting revenue plan, detailing how it intends to repay.
Yeah, I mean, how can anyone disagree with what you're saying? I think Africa, we've been warned as a continent of the influx of the Chinese looking to invest. We've seen what they've done in other countries. If you don't repay your debt, they will just colonize you. They will take over important infrastructure, important things.
Which countries have this?
It's Kenya, it's Zambia or Mozambique. They're places. If you Google it, you'll find it. They've done quite a bit. They've taken over their seaports or their airports or whatever. So the dangers are there. And so whenever I hear that Nigeria is borrowing, my heart already, gives up, because I just know that we'll borrow the money. We're not, to get the revenue, we're supposed to plow that money we borrowed into whatever it is that we're trying to build that will generate that revenue. But if we're not doing that, where's that revenue going to come from? So now what they've done is they've decided that the only way to get revenue in Nigeria is the crude oil or taxing.
Yeah.
So that is really it. So we now know that it's either we're the ones that are going to suffer, or future generations are going to suffer.
But really, sorry. Thank God. I wanted to talk about this week. I also wanted to detail all of the borrowings at every time from 1999 to date. You find out that it's always, like you said, it's always very convenient for government to give you a one-sided story of the borrowing plan. And then we also need to also have a clear picture of the internally generated revenue, both from crude, from taxes, from the seaports. So and then juxtapose them with the infrastructure. Yes, we have infrastructural deficit, and like the African Development Bank has said, we need $100 billion annually to be able to bridge the gap. But what we are basically doing, like I had listened to Chief Henry Boyo, God rest his soul, just died, and this former CBN Deputy Governor, Melaifa. And that what we are basically doing is to borrow to feed, borrow to service, recurrent expenditure. And so that's why you still have that infrastructural gap. And that's why when government tells you they want to borrow, nobody tells you the repayment plan. Not too long ago, our president came and said, look, he needed approval for $1 billion to buy arms to fight Boko Haram. $1 billion is spending at 365 naira to $1 is 1 billion naira per day. Wow. And nobody is talking about all of this. All of this money will be repaid, whether we like it or not. And so if, like you said, if the revenue is not commensurate to what you are borrowing, no matter how big you are, you will just continually be in debt. And someday you'll be bankrupt.
There are two things that come to my mind. One is, even if they told me that they were going to declare their revenue, would I even trust the figures? So, for example, there's a recent thing I heard about, the Open Treasury. They're trying to sell us a sweetener. I don't know if you've come across that, where you can go online and you can see all the monies coming in and out, opentreasury.com. The government are trying to offer us a palliative in the light of
any amount
the whole...
to spend every
but
day.
if you don't trust, if people are awarding themselves pension, and you know that their heart is really to secure themselves and not you, would you still trust them? Even if they told you, isn't it the figures they put on that database that you have to assess them on? So, if they're going to buy a house secretly, are they going to declare that? You will never know that. So that's a problem for me. So even when we're talking about the government declaring figures, I would rather there was an objective like JP Morgan Chase, an external body who would supervise this so-called transparency procedure. So I'm not against borrowing, because in the short term, I don't really see how we're going to raise the funds we need. But I'm against them being the ones declaring I just feel, unfortunately, we don't trust them enough. So even if they give us figures, we don't trust the figures, because their heart is not to be transparent, their heart is not to be accountable. So they'll find a way to cheat even the so-called system. So what we're looking for more now is, okay, let's deal with the short term, let them be allowed to borrow. But long term, let's now start saying, why is it that we're not generating revenue? In the past, we used to. It's because of this centralized system. I think we've dealt with this before. Let's find a way to now encourage, independent states to generate revenue for themselves.
What I hear you say is we should allow them to borrow.
Yes, for the short
term. And then we'll think later about
Later.
how the revenue will come. That is not how it works.
So I have two major problems. Is one, the size of our reoccurring expenditure. I think that's one thing that has to be fixed. You can't have hemorrhage. You're bleeding, and they're just pumping blood into you. It's waste. Yeah. So we're already spending money in the wrong direction. And then we have to first get that straight, because any money we borrow, we'll spend it in a bad way. So I think those are the things that, this over-bloated size of government and all of that, we have to fix that first. Yes. Reduce, in companies, when you're trying to increase profitability, one of the first things you try to do is to reduce costs. Yes. Even if you're going to be innovative or anything, is to find a way to reduce costs. Yeah. We have to reduce the cost.
And governance.
Let me add something to
the second
that.
part. Should I shock you that the size of government employees in federal government is about 1.2 million, but less than 100,000 are actually civil servants.
So that's the ghost workers thing again.
That's crazy.
Okay, I guess that says it all.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
As they say, honesty is the best policy, especially when it comes to matters of finance, since numbers never lie. After the break, Uche seems to be encouraging us to be true to our natural color.
Mona Lisa is all about me.
It's all about you.
It's all about our stories. The stories that never get told, but ought to.
Whereby water transportation does not make financial sense, it makes economic sense.
I was there for 2.5 hours on the floor. Nobody attended to me.
If we don't take care of the poor will take care of us.
It's about getting at the root of things and hearing from the horse's mouth.
We are 15 public hospitals to make them affordable.
In the whole of Africa, we are bigger. Nigeria, we sleep, eat, dream, fashion.
Those with the financial backing don't see fashion as an investment, which makes no sense.
If they do it for free, they won't have money for the next case.
Mona Lisa is about real life and real lives, yours and mine. Make a date with Mona Lisa, and together, let's ensure that the important stories get told.
We hear the expression, true beauty lies within, but how many of us believe it lies closer to the surface? I wonder. Bleached babies. Yeah, that is my topic today. If you didn't come across the video of an African woman in a bath filled with some chemicals, having the skin on her body peeled to instantly reveal whiter skin, then count yourself lucky. I was shocked to the bone and could hardly watch. Why would anyone put themselves through such a dangerous process for the sake of beauty? Skin bleaching is one manifestation of folks trying to get power and privilege aligned with whiteness. We're seeing folks attempt to be perceived as having more value because of their complexion. This was said by Yaba Blay, a researcher at North Carolina Central University. The dangers of bleaching have been well publicized, so it's rather hard to plead ignorance as an excuse. But just for clarity, an official from the Nigerian Drug Control Agency had this warning. These chemicals damage respiratory, kidney, and reproductive systems. They cause cancer, affect the nervous system, deform unborn babies. Some of you may remember my earlier advocacy on the bleaching phenomenon. Well, I'm about to reveal an even more alarming trend in bleaching. African mothers are now bleaching their babies' skin. Yes, you heard me. This was revealed by a shocking 2018 AFP report. There is also the well-documented story of how Dr. Isima Sobande came across a 2-month-old baby boy who was brought to a health center with very painful boils all over his body. On interrogation, the mother admitted to mixing a steroid cream with shea butter, which she applied on her son's skin to make him whiter. This madness must stop immediately. Thanks to various movements such as melanin popping, which aims to celebrate and highlight the beauty of black skin, recent songs like Brown Skin Girl by Beyoncé featuring Wizkid, and social media awareness on the dangers, the halt to this very ugly, disfiguring, and life-threatening trend has begun. But it will take much more to change a mindset that believes anything white is superior. African women, be proud of your skin. Not only is it beautiful to look at, but the melanin serves a very important purpose in the fight against skin cancer.
Yeah, I mean, quickly, because I know when, I remember I had a neighbor once, and I mean, my children are a little fair-skinned, some of them, and she was saying, oh, you know, what do you put on their skin? And I was wondering, I thought it was really bizarre, you know, why is she bothered? I said, I just wash them with the same standard soap, I don't put anything on them. Because she was wondering what to do with her sons who were not, you know, they
Imagine
were,
that.
And, you know, and so when I hear that, I find it really strange. I mean, I was happy to see that Miss Universe, this South African lady, I know she's not dark-skinned, but at least she had short hair. I feel the media have a massive role to play in recycling these stereotypes of what is beautiful. You know, I've never understood the obsession with fair-skinned people because I just don't get it. You know, sometimes I say I wish I were darker skinned because I hate that whole, you know, bandwagon, you know, when everyone thinks this is what it is. You know, I want to be different because I just don't think that we should all have a standardized way of appreciating something. So even in the media, you find that, oh, makeup, a certain type of makeup is considered the standard. I say, I beg, let me be.
You know, but really,
let me be. Because I don't want, and I feel women are, I know bleaching can happen in men, but I feel women that tend to suffer the handicap cause. No, but Libras, I feel women are handicapping themselves because a lot of times women want to be taken seriously. But when you major on the externals, how will anyone take you seriously?
Yeah, because that's it. Everything to women now is make believe. Well, sorry, before I go on, when you talk about Yaba Blay, I thought it was Yaba right? You know, everything these days, it's about make believe. Fake eyelashes, fake face, fake everything.
Fake everything.
And so when you now believe, when you take off, and then to cap it all, when we talk about what do you call it now? Beauty. It has to be sexual beauty and all of those things. You wear skimpy things, exposed. You know, so when the emphasis is on the outside, and so everybody would want to do anything that will enhance that outside. Just like a man in Nigeria. A Nigerian man would drink anything, provided it says it helps, you know, the reproductive the libido.
But we're focusing on adults now. My major problem, because I've dealt with the adults. Why are you bleaching your baby?
Because you believe you want to help the baby.
Will the baby start bleaching himself at 6,
you don't
or you
want the baby
bleach
to
the
have to
baby?
struggle with what you struggle with. Having to bleach as an adult. So you want to start it quite early.
But the baby will keep bleaching because there's maintenance bleaching, from what I understand.
You know, the only thing I had to say before, the only thing I had to say before was about maintenance. I'm not light skinned. I happen to even have a mother and a sister who's fairly light skinned. And what I usually tell people is that, you know, when you're light skinned, you're more maintenance.
Yes.
Like, why?
Don't push that.
No. I'm like, no.
You are light skinned.
I don't do any maintenance.
My point is that, why are you even struggling to go to the more expensive side of life?
Yes.
You know, in the first place. Well, you see the baby one. I can't wrap my head.
I use Vaseline.
Can I be
And
extreme?
a baby boy on top of that. Why would you bleach a baby boy?
Allow him to be extreme.
Can it become almost a criminal offense to do that?
I hope so.
Because you're killing the baby.
Some lawmakers are involved. Kings are involved in Nigeria.
The cosmetic industry is selling big time.
Oh, really?
Please, can they keep the babies out of it?
The cosmetic industry is selling big time. And so everything now is make-believe.
For babies?
It's so bad that ordinarily before, because even in the studio, because of the light, you rub a bit of powder. Yeah. But now you do heavy makeups. It's all about make-believe. It's cosmetic. So now they've come with another one. Oh, the dark skin is not too good. You need to make it lighter. And so some of those parents are taking decisions for their baby because, that's why, for me, Tubosu,
and with Tubosu,
it is
let's
criminalize this
agree.
Because you are taking out what you're doing to that. You're
killing
death by installment.
Yes.
So
which part are you criminalizing?
When you use it for baby, no, forget the adults. The adults.
What I want to bring in here, if you bring that, like for instance, that mother that brought her baby into the hospital, she should have been arrested. Because she already.
Stop bringing to hospital.
Well, that's another point, though. But
so just what they did to, like I said, I'm going to be extreme. What they did to cigarettes. Maybe they should start doing it to some of these products and write it
whatever
big
they
on
do
it.
to cigarette, they know work.
No. What they do is disclaimer.
Warning.
This thing will kill you in good time.
So bleaching will kill you.
So will you stop it?
So no. If you reduce it.
There are some people who probably are not smoking today because of that.
Warning.
Yes, because of the warning.
I think a more expansive citizens education
we do education
that will go right down to the because it's not everything that legislation feels.
But I think, like I said, role models. We need to have more dark-skinned,
role models,
natural-looking people out there, so people will see them and begin to want to be like them.
I also think that
they also need to be the carrot and the stick approach.
Which is?
That's why I support
legislation.
Criminalizing. Okay.
So once you know that, look, there are some people that will frighten. Why some will see the role model and like, oh, I would want to be like this dark.
Yes.
So when you put all of this,
effort.
because here we hardly, and then effort like this, it is good you are bringing it to the limelight.
Yes.
A lot of people probably wouldn't have known.
Yeah. Babies are being
bleached. It's not a one way to the market thing. We have to use multiple approach to it. Otherwise, because the rate at which is going,
it's crazy.
The cosmetic
We
industry
haven't
is
even got
taking
into
over.
the psychology of why.
And then I must also commend NAFDAC for quickly, taking that step to shut down that center.
Yes.
Because I learned they went there, arrested some person, and shut down this. But it should end there.
No, I mean this is just too awful. The mother is supposed to love their baby and take care of their baby, and
that's the love now.
So beauty, the love of beauty has now gone ahead of the love of
beautiful.
Yeah.
They're preparing the baby.
Wow, this is shocking to me. Anyway, you could call us the social watchmen and women. We watch out for you whilst you watch out for us. Here's where we read out your comments. On politics in Nigeria is a game of thugs. Babatunde Odebi says, The Advocate is awesome, thank you. Kudos to you guys. I saw it once and I love to watch it all the time. You people are heroes. God, I'm blushing as I'm reading this. Hopefully your program would not be shut down when the so-called hate speech and social media bill is passed. Shh. Thanks, Babatunde. We keep talking. On the same topic, Dixon Igoni has this to say. The media should do a better job in bringing enlightenment. When there is awareness, revolution will come naturally because the people will be wise to take a stand and also vote the right people into leadership. The bigger problem is the individual Nigerian who helps them to rig elections. It is the individual, be it the thugs, police, army, etc. They're all Nigerians. When the people are enlightened, things will change. Also, Agunwoke says, "My people, the good ones are few. Remember, majority carry the vote in that parliament. Politics is a game of thugs. It's stirring a lot of reactions." Alton Kansu says, "They should also make laws that allow referendum." Thank you for all your feedback. Even though we're unable to read all of them out, we love hearing from you. Keep your comments coming in on our social media platforms on Facebook, Plus TV Africa, #TheAdvocateNG, or on Twitter and Instagram at Plus TV Africa, #TheAdvocateNG. To catch up with previous broadcasts, go to www.plustvafrica.com/TheAdvocateNG. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Plus TV Africa. After the break, Tubosun wants to tell us the Nigerian brand. Any buyers?
I actually moved back to Nigeria to open a bakery. This was my goal, and everything I did up till this point was in preparation for this. First of all, life was great because I moved in 2015 right before the recession, right? It was awesome. I was like, wow, there's so much money out here, man. The cost of overheads, power generation, water, you have to be your own local government. And there are no tax breaks. Many places where, where they realize the small business environment is difficult would offer some kind of tax breaks and incentives. We don't do that out here. We want you to come back. We want you to, to start businesses here, but we're not going to do anything to help you. All my experiences in the past have led me ultimately to where I am now.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. Branding and perception are connected in ways worth exploring. The brand Nigeria is badly damaged. It must be rescued. You see, when Cardi B visited Nigeria last week, the social media was agog with her reaction and love for Nigeria. She was everywhere. One of her posts clearly showed she was in utmost surprise. She must have thought Nigeria was a terrible bleep hole of a country. Is our situation that bad? Oh, it's very bad. But who is promoting the part that is good? Who is promoting the Nigerian entertainment? Who is promoting the Nigerian food? Who is promoting the Nigerian culture? Who is consolidating on the good things about the great country, Nigeria? South Africa, Rwanda, Dubai, just to mention a few, are constantly and consistently promoting their country in good light. Even when you have the xenophobic attack in South Africa, before you say Jack Robinson, they're in Nigeria promoting travel to South Africa. Dubai never seems to cease on promoting Dubai. Rwanda had a massive deal with English Premiership, which we love very much in Nigeria. So the question is, why do they sponsor these movies? They sponsor our movies, they sponsor our weddings, they sponsor our concerts, just to show that they're good and everyone, at least to a reasonable extent, can come to their country. Just one movie got people more interested in Singapore, The Crazy Rich Asians. One movie leapfrogged and got more people interested about Africa, The Black Panther. You see, the US military alone spends about $50 million annually promoting the image of US military. So next time you see a movie from Hollywood about the US military promoting how brilliant and how tactful they are, make no mistake, there may be some money from the US military invested in that movie. Rwanda's tourism industry contributes about 12.7% to the country's GDP. It's supporting 132,000 jobs in Rwanda. A total of $30.82 billion was spent in 2018 by overnight international visitors in Dubai, a 3.8% increase over what they earned in 2017. Oh, remember we just talked about Nigeria borrowing $30 billion. That's what Dubai is making easy peasy. Well, apples and oranges there. This makes Dubai the city which brings in the most tourist dollars worldwide, with Mecca coming second at 20.09 billion. Our entertainment sector is growing so fast, and I'm so happy about that. But why? It's more because of external interest. So there's a reason companies invest in internal and external communications. You see, with internal communications, they promote the vision, the culture, the ideals of the organization. With external communications, which is what most of us will see, they promote the company's brand to external stakeholders, not just customers. What is the vision of Nigeria? What do we want the country to be known as? Things are bad, and we all know it, but we need a push and pull effect. We won't wait for things to become perfect before we tell the good stories about Nigeria. The burden of expectation sometimes has a corrective ability. We need a collective and concerted drive, especially by our National Orientation Agency or the Ministry of Information and Culture, to project the Nigerian brand in good light. There has to be a department saddled with the responsibility of taking complaints from Nigeria also, so that every time we go to the social media to complain about something that has gone bad, someone is making an effort to fix it and ensure that the issues of citizen molestation by security forces, poor services from government is prevented and resolved in good time. I know we have Savicom, but Nigeria must be heard and justice must be served. As Nigerians also, we must be ambassadors. We must always act right. We all like Anthony Joshua from his recent victory, but he was resilient and of good behavior, at least so far. And now we're associating with him, even though he claims to be fighting for British. While we're trying to hold government accountable, we must be accountable to ourselves and behave well.
You have said it all.
Is that what you have to say? You agree with him?
You have said it all.
In total?
Yeah, you have said it all. So.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to add?
Well, I mean, what I would like to say really is that I agree with you. Nigeria really needs to start to understand the power of tourism, how much we can make from tourism. And then maybe when we understand that, we might then start to plow some money into improving certain, what would you call it, tourist attractions, or, or create even new ones. Like I know, for instance, in the East, or you call it Southeast now. In the East,
the southeastern
right?
part of Nigeria.
But me, I still see it as East. But anyway, southeastern part of Nigeria, for instance, especially, I'm talking about my village now. We discovered some, we have caves, we have some historical places, and the people, the elders of the village got the youths together and got them to clean out the cave and now turn it into a tourist attraction. So now they're writing about our cave in our village, which, yeah, exactly. So even something as small as that, you could turn it into a tourist attraction. Yeah. So I think it's about time Nigeria really starts to see that as an avenue for revenue. I like that. I like it.
Maybe when the oil
I like it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We should comment because you had an opportunity to say a lot. So let's tackle what you said.
No, so you won't say anything.
Who said it at all? So let me come in here. I feel that, one thing that is selling for us, in spite of all our mistakes, is the Nigerian brand. Recently, I think Richard and I saw someone who had set up a stall. This is in the UK now. We went there, but we saw a post called Two Nigerian Boys. Why would they call it that? Because they know that title alone will attract, because Nigerians are charismatic. Yeah. So we're already a brand. Food. Even with our naughtiness, we're still a brand. Yeah. So people are always listening to say, what will these Nigerian people do next? So it doesn't take much to get people on board the Nigerian brand, because people, I don't know, there's a feeling in people that they're waiting for Nigerians to do something. Because the world is waiting for Nigerians. Even we are waiting. But there's too much capacity here that everybody, all eyes are still watching. Energy. So we don't need to do much to get people to key into the brand. It doesn't take much. So we need to start to take advantage of that and feel a little, where some people like wearing Lagos girls. I mean, feel cool about yourself. And
that's part of promoting the brand.
But you see, when it comes to food and entertainment.
Yes, that's because of the effort.
When you talk about the Dubai Museum today, there was nothing Dubai about the museum.
Oh, really?
Yes, they brought a France brand to Dubai. They bought articles from all over the whole world and put it in the place.
So when
And
you
then
get
people
there,
start to come.
when you get there, you can replicate the word in Dubai. That's it. And so you use it to sell Dubai. And so that's why I always have problem with Ekene when she concludes to say, you know, individually we have to do something.
Okay. Yes,
Individually,
you know that's
we
my
have,
brand.
individually we have donated our rights to a government in response to collectively, you know, protect and do this.
So you now abdicate all responsibility to that
No,
government.
like this promoting this brand, you see people, Omon and Germany, all these are individual efforts.
Yeah.
Okay.
He talked about, you know, government intentionally, you know, promoting and pushing the brand. Dora Akuile, God rest her soul.
Oh yes, she had that.
tried to promote the
Great
Nigerian
people,
brand.
Good people, great nation.
Good people, great nation. Yeah, that was just a slogan. But you can key into, look at it in Nollywood, for example. Fantastic.
Yeah.
A lot of people now know Nigeria because of Nollywood.
Our
But what is
entertainment
government
industry.
doing to key
Tap into that.
To tap into
But
that?
sorry,
What is
liberals,
government
let
doing
me
to
try
tap
and
into-
defend my
These are individuals.
Government is providing loans. to
Let me
Nollywood.
defend my position a bit. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying.
agree.
I know you know what I'm saying, but let me
agree.
just say it, Sha. You know, I feel that yes, the government. The reason why I try and major on us is because I just feel the government seems so far away, and are they even paying attention? The people who are listening, let's at least do something for ourselves.
When you do that, they will be so laid back. They're already laid back. They say anyway, the people will do something for themselves. So
Exactly.
let's just have
yeah,
fun.
no, I agree with
excellency.
liberals. We need the support of the government. You know, like to create these tourist attractions. We're not going to be the only ones. The roads leading to these tourist attractions need to be sorted out.
The security,
Exactly, the security,
Yes.
exactly, the maintenance. All these things are required. So you and I can wear the T-shirts all we want, but if people can't even get to the venue or get to these places and even have a good
this is
time
where I
and be
come in.
secure.
Like for instance, I was driving down the road the other day, and I saw a man open his window, just throw one rubbish out. That's an ambassador for Nigeria.
I understand that.
Just imagine,
That's
just
what
imagine
I'm
the
also
slogan.
appealing to.
Just imagine the slogan. Northern Nigeria, the land where the sun never sleeps.
Are you already a brand ambassador?
No, we even already have some.
Yes,
we already know they carry last.
Yeah,
Like
Enugu,
it's almost like there's
City,
yeah,
Anambra, what is it? Something
so
about lights.
when people,
in
the Western world are looking for sun, where to come. Just used to be a tourist center these days. Until insecurity.
Like it was very dull in the UK now.
It's sad. It's sad. As citizens of Nigeria, whether we like it or not, our identity is inextricably linked to the brand Nigeria. So let's make it work. After the break, Liborius nails the coffin on an apparently costly and ineffective practice.
This Medan has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
A costly practice that only services a very minor segment of the society at the expense of the majority should be confined to the rubbish dump. Whose security vote help, you or me? With reference to a recent report published by Transparency International titled Camouflage Cashed, How Security Vote Fueled Corruption in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the word security vote only means one thing to some people: official corruption and abuse of power. Yet the beneficiaries of security votes, politicians and security officials, argue that they needed to subsidize the operation of Nigeria, overstretch and underfunded federal security. As a result, security votes have become a cancerous tumor in our state budget, unaccounted for. Transparency International, in that same research, estimated that the secretive, unaccounted for cash expenditure add up to over 241 billion naira annually. The analysis of 29 states' budget, no data exists for 7 though, revealed that these states spend an average of 208.8 billion naira in each total year on security vote. Just type security vote on Google, and what Wikipedia will reveal to you will give you sleepless nights in a poor country like Nigeria. Kindly permit me to look at some of the figures, states by state. Imo State, 4 billion naira annually. Enugu State, 7.2 billion naira annually. Anambra and Abia, 10 billion and 8 billion respectively annually. No record is available for Ebonyi. While Cross River State is 6 billion naira annually. Rivers State is 18 billion naira annually. Akwa Ibom and Edo are 21 billion and 10 billion respectively annually. Delta State, the state with the big heart, is 24 billion naira annually, and no record available for the oil-rich state of Bayelsa. Lagos State is less than the oil-rich state with 17.14 billion naira annually. Ondo State spends 7.2 billion naira annually. Osun State is 4.8 billion naira, while Ogun State spends between 960 million to 1.2 billion annually. Ekiti State that couldn't pay salaries under PDP Fayose spends 1.2 billion annually as security vote, and I'm not aware if that has reduced under the current Fayemi APC government though. Borno State is 9.6 billion annually. No wonder Boko Haram will never come to an end. The 3 states of Yobe, Taraba, and Bauchi spend 3.8 billion naira, 2.4 billion, and 17 billion naira annually, respectively. Kaduna State spends 4.8 billion naira annually, divided into 2.1 billion as security votes and 2.7 billion security vote preventive and supportive for the office of the SSG. That should be to compensate those whose cow were rustled or killed. Katsina State spends the lowest so far. It spends about 211 million annually, while Zamfara spends 7.2 billion annually. Benue State spends 37 billion, with about 3.09 billion as amount allocated to personnel and overcost annually. All of this. Kwara has no available records. Plateau, Kogi, and Nasarawa State spend 2.6 billion annually, 4.8 billion, and 1.2 billion, respectively. While lastly, Niger State spends 15.7 annually. Surprisingly, the amount spent is not dependent on insecurity in the state. I might be wrong. I beg, help me check them too. With all of these amounts, our police is still heavily and seriously underfunded. My advocacy for today is that to stop this drain pipe, the federal government, through the National Assembly, must pass law outlawing security vote, because this money and monies spent by the governor on insecurity unaccounted for, both at the federal level and at the state level. Such laws should also specify budgeting procedures and criteria for security expenditures. Finally, government should support state government's effort to set up security trust fund, which must be professionally managed, just like you have in Lagos State, as a constructive first step towards phasing out security votes. For it is only transparency in fund management that will enhance accountability that can only help in fighting corruption in Nigeria.
Yeah, well done.
Wow.
I'm so glad that somebody finally raised this security. I mean, people talk about it, but when you break it down with the figures that you've attached to it per state, I'm disgusted, really, you know. But my problem now lies, the people that are chopping from this are not the people that are going to change this. So I think looking at what we could do going forward, I think we have to now push for transparency, push for, you know, we want to see budgets, how these things are spent, because I can tell you that this thing is not, they're not going to wipe it out.
We're not going to get transparency.
You're not going to, no, but they have to give us something.
It is security. And security is always a name for hiding things.
Yes, but if there's still massive insecurity in the states all around us, shouldn't we then say, oh, okay, you got the security money, but we're all still afraid, we can't move around.
That's a chance to ask for more money.
So show us what you are spending this money. I think we have every right to ask that. You don't think, or what?
Actually, I'm very perplexed. Just normally, yeah. So I'm even trying to find my words, because I'm like, I mean, look at Delta State.
You really need to find your words. It's like
you know,
Benue
like,
spend the highest.
yes, and I'm Benue, and I'm like, so, please, what is this security for? Because to a reasonable extent, I have a fair idea of what that money is used for.
Okay, go on.
But I
Yeah,
have
please
a fair
tell
idea.
us. Pray tell.
Please tell us something.
I just I'll get to it. I just did not think that it was going to get. So you see, when when this is what they use for a lot of the government officials use for what I'll call
extracurricular activities.
Yes, and takeaways.
Okay.
So that's
37 billion takeaway.
What
are we talking about?
Seeing the number at 37 billion, so I'm asking myself.
That's crazy.
So that's the takeaway. And then to a reasonable extent, I also hear that. So sometimes there are unwritten rules about how the money is shared. So, it's called security vote. Yeah. So it's called security vote. So there is a commissioner of police in the state. There is maybe a GOC or this ones and all of that. So sometimes it actually goes a bit into something called security, at least from the information that I have. However, there is almost, at least again from what I know, zero accountability.
Wow. Can I say
but
yes,
I will go back to my first statement. I have never seen
kind of
the
level
numbers where this
pilfering was going on.
Like,
Ekene had said something about trust the other time. You want, for a government, for example, to be able to raise revenue, you need the people to trust you. It's one of the problems we're having with taxation. Yeah. Because people will like to ask, what did you do with the taxes I already pay you? Can I see it? So when you come and say, pay me more taxes, people will ask questions. Now, these are issues that deplete the trust capital totally.
Completely.
You take 37 billion naira.
Imagine that.
You are not accountable to anybody for it.
Minimum wage, we're dragging.
Benue was owing salary for several months.
Ekitinko.
And it could, you see, oh, sorry.
No, in a way, I want to thank Libros, even though it's stomach churning to hear these figures.
It's horrible.
But what I'm saying, and again, maybe takes it back to Shore for me, is that how can anybody incarcerate him for using the word revolution? That's exactly what we need. Because when you're looking at a spread like this, you're not going to get people who are reasoning like this to do anything productive. They may give you a little here, a little there, but they're not inclined to do anything productive. It's even better to set them aside, pay them a stipend, and get some technocrats to do the job, because these people's head will not be in
this
the job.
kind of money.
Their head is in what they can take
kind of
from
money
the,
that stops
the
you from
public
thinking.
purse.
It will encourage terrorism.
There's nothing you're saying.
You're fortunate.
I
can
sponsor problems to ensure
I initially said I won't say anything on this, but the
please.
unfortunate part is that this is not the budget, the security budget for the states.
No, it's just
this is a vote for the governor.
Okay, apart from the security.
Apart from the budget for security.
So how do they define
this
the
is just
use of
a
that
vote.
money? How do they define it's pocket
It's
money?
unaccounted for. It's unaccounted for.
So who brought this,
nobody
will
will query you.
Law? Who allowed this
Nobody
to
will. It was introduced under Obasanjo. Nobody will query you for spending security vote anyhow.
So it's constitutionally there.
Yes, your vote.
The law allows it.
You can't be queried for it, and so when you have this kind of money, careless in somebody's hands, and then you want him to leave.
I wonder why they even
office
brought
for
it in
you.
the first place.
Those kind of wealth will encourage sponsoring of
but you see, the
disorder and
security
insecurity.
vote reminds me of the constituency projects as well, where they give certain amounts to constituency projects, and then meanwhile people are busy commissioning borehole or shoemaker. Oh yes,
sewing machines,
it's crazy. A lot of these things need
the money
is
driving the people.
These are the
not
things
the other way around.
Depleting the trust capital and why people cannot trust government.
Exactly. So we need more transparency. It's not even that we're saying don't have the security vote. We need more transparency.
Well, you've said it all. So with that, we'll call it a wrap. So much to say and so little time. Keep the conversation going on, however, on our Facebook, Plus TV Africa, hashtag #TheAdvocateNG. Or on Twitter, like they say, and Instagram, at Plus TV Africa, hashtag #TheAdvocateNG. To catch up with previous broadcasts, go to plustvafrica.com/theadvocates. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Plus TV Africa. Till next time, when we'll be returning with fresh topics for your inspiration, let's keep advocating for a better society.
Yeah. Bye. Tara.
Welcome to The Advocate.
times when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
It's a long story, man, because after I left church, because I love music so much, like I've loved music right since when I was 9, from my primary school days, I love music. So I started working in a pure water company, where I was paid 15,000 naira in a month. I was earning very low salary then, but I had no choice. I had to do it because I had to pay for studio session, go to shows before you buy 1 or 2, bus score for you to wear money don't finish, I went through so many challenges, man. After, I started working at Loot again, Loot, Lagos State,
Like what? In what capacity?
Yeah, health attendant, yeah. Okay. I worked for 8 years.
Wow.
Where I gathered all my salary just to make sure, everything went well for me. But thank God, after the OSU, so many dirty jobs that I did then, but thank God today I'm here, Even
while I was Waje, I was squatting with a friend. I couldn't afford a house. I couldn't afford an apartment of my own in my early years as a musician, and, sometimes at some point it was from one friend's house to the other because you also have to be sensitive to some people. You get the way they go take change and for you, you said go find